Admiral Jake Harrison stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station Sentinel, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. The station orbited Earth like a metal moon, its weapons pointed toward the darkness of space. Jake had served in the Earth Defense Force for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like what was coming through the communication system today. The alert lights flashed red across every screen in the command center. Lieutenant Amy Watson turned from her station, her face pale. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It's coming from everywhere at once." Jake walked to the main screen as it flickered to life. The image that appeared made his blood run cold. Dozens of alien faces filled the display, creatures he had never seen before. Some looked like giant insects with multiple eyes. Others appeared to be made of living metal. Still others seemed to be balls of glowing energy floating in spacesuits. The largest alien, a being with gray skin and silver eyes, spoke in perfect English. "People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Vex of the Galactic Concordat. We speak for 847 civilizations across this galaxy. Today, we deliver an ultimatum to your species." Jake felt his hands grip the railing tighter as the alien continued. "For 200 years, your kind has spread across the stars like a disease. You take planets without asking. You build weapons instead of art. You refuse to bow to the authority of those who came before you. The galaxy has voted. Humanity must be removed." The transmission switched to show massive fleets of alien ships. Thousands of vessels, each one larger than Earth's biggest warships. Jake had seen reports about alien technology, but this was beyond anything humans had imagined. The ships had smooth hulls that seemed to bend light around them. Their weapons glowed with energy that could probably destroy a planet. "You have one choice," the alien commander said. "Surrender now and we will make your end quick. Fight us, and we will make sure every human world burns slowly. You have 48 hours to decide." The screen went black. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the station's engines. Jake looked around at his crew. These were good people, trained soldiers who had signed up to protect Earth and its colonies. Now they faced an enemy that outnumbered them hundreds to one. "Get me President Foster on a secure line," Jake ordered. "And contact all fleet commanders. I want a full report on our defensive capabilities within the hour." On the planet below, President Daniel Foster sat in his office in the rebuilt White House. The original building had been destroyed in the resource wars of 2341, but this new structure stood as a symbol of human determination. Daniel had been elected on a platform of peace, but peace seemed impossible now. His chief of staff, Karen Hayes, burst through the door with a tablet in her hands. "Mr. President, every human colony is reporting the same transmission. They all received it at the exact same time despite being light years apart." Daniel stood and walked to the window. He could see people in the streets below, pointing up at the sky where news drones were already broadcasting emergency reports. "How many colonies do we have now?" 203 worlds, sir, plus mining stations, research outposts, and deep space facilities. About 15 billion people total. "And how many ships can we put together?" Karen consulted her tablet. "The Defense Force has about 8,000 vessels of various sizes. Most are patrol ships or transports. We have maybe 300 real warships." Daniel closed his eyes. 8,000 human ships against 50,000 alien vessels. It was not even close to a fair fight. But humans had never been known for fighting fair fights. They had always been known for refusing to give up. Across the galaxy, human colonies received the same message. On New Boston, a farming world on the edge of human space, Colonel Steve Martinez gathered his small garrison. The planet had only 50 soldiers and a few outdated defense satellites. Steve had been born on Earth but had spent most of his life protecting the frontier. "Listen up," he told his troops. "I won't lie to you. We're outnumbered and outgunned, but this is our home now. These aliens think they can just show up and tell us to die quietly. They're about to learn what it means to fight humans." His second in command, Captain Lisa Rodriguez, had been studying alien technology for years. She was one of the few humans who understood how advanced their enemies really were. "Sir, their ships have energy shields that can stop anything we throw at them. Their weapons can crack moons, Their fastest ships can cross the galaxy in weeks. Steve nodded. Then we'll have to be smarter than them. Lisa, start working on ways to get around their shields. Even the best technology has weaknesses. On Mars, Dr. Alan Cooper was in his laboratory when the transmission came through. Alan had spent his career studying alien biology, using samples from crashed ships and first contact incidents. He understood alien psychology better than most humans. As he watched the message, he realized something important. The aliens were afraid. All this talk about removing humanity was really about fear. They were scared of what humans might become in a few hundred more years. They saw human expansion and human weapons, and they decided to act before humans got too strong. Alan picked up his communicator and called Admiral Harrison. Jake, I just watched their message. They're not doing this because they hate us. They're doing it because they're terrified of us. Back on the Sentinel, Jake was coordinating with defense commanders across human space. The reports were not good. Earth's orbital platforms had enough firepower to hurt an attacking fleet, but not enough to stop one this size. The lunar bases could provide support, but they were sitting targets. The asteroid mining facilities could be converted into weapons platforms, but that would take time. Commander Ben Clark, Jake's chief tactical officer, was working with the ship's artificial intelligence to run battle simulations. Every scenario ended the same way: human defeat in less than a week. Sir, Ben said, the math doesn't work in our favor. Even if we fight perfectly, we can't win. Jake looked out at Earth, hanging blue and green in the darkness. 15 billion people down there living their lives, raising their children, dreaming of the future. In 46 hours, an alien fleet would arrive to end all of that. Ben, run the simulations again. But this time, don't assume we're trying to win. Assume we're trying to hurt them so badly that other species think twice about messing with humans. As the first day ended, emergency broadcasts filled every human communication network. Families said goodbye across light years of space. Soldiers checked their weapons. Engineers worked to convert civilian ships into improvised warships. And in the depths of space, long-range sensors detected the first signs of the alien fleet leaving hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. The Starkiller weapon dominated the space near Jupiter like a metallic moon, its construction representing the combined technological might of 847 alien civilizations. Captain Sophie Turner studied the massive structure through her ship's advanced sensors, watching energy patterns that could end all life in the solar system within 5 weeks. The Ghost Runner hung motionless in the shadow of Europa, its stealth systems hiding it from the thousands of alien patrol ships that guarded the superweapon. Sophie's crew had grown to include some of humanity's best young soldiers, teenagers who had learned warfare in the crucible of the galactic siege. The defensive grid has 17 layers, reported Lieutenant Pete Adams, now Sophie's second in command. Energy shields, particle barriers, gravity wells, and automated defense platforms. Getting through all of that would normally require a fleet. Sophie smiled grimly. Good thing we're not normal. What did Dr. Clark's intelligence network find about the Nexus Prime facility? Her systems specialist, Sergeant Kelly Brown, pulled up the reconnaissance data. The communication hub is at the center of the galaxy, about 25,000 light-years from here. It's not just defended, Sophie. It's alive. The facility is a symbiotic organism created from technology and biology from dozens of species. The plan was audacious even by human standards. While the main human fleet engaged the Starkiller's defenses in a desperate frontal assault, Sophie's small team would attempt to reach Nexus Prime and upload Dr. Clark's computer virus into the alien communication network. If successful, the virus would cascade through the quantum links connecting every alien ship in the galaxy, causing massive system failures and coordination breakdowns. Dr. Clark had spent months refining the virus, using captured alien technology to understand how their quantum networks functioned. His creation was elegant in its simplicity, a recursive data loop that would cause alien computers to process contradictory commands simultaneously, overloading their systems. The beauty of it is that the more advanced their technology, the more vulnerable they are, Clark explained during the final briefing. Their quantum processors can handle massive amounts of information, but they can't handle information that contradicts itself. It's like asking a computer to calculate what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Admiral Jake Harrison coordinated the massive deception operation that would allow Sophie's mission to proceed undetected. Every human, ship and facility in the solar system would participate in creating the illusion that humanity was making its final stand at Jupiter. "We need to sell this performance," Jake told his commanders. "The aliens have to believe we're throwing everything we have at the Starkiller." While they're focused on our fleet, Sophie gets her chance to reach the communication hub. The diversionary attack began with the largest human fleet action since the war started. Admiral Lisa Rodriguez led 300 surviving human warships against the Starkiller's defensive perimeter, knowing that most of them would not return. These vessels represented the last organized resistance of the human military, and their crews understood the stakes. "All ships, this is Admiral Rodriguez," came the voice over the communication network. "Today we find out if the galaxy was right to fear us. Show them what humans do when our backs are against the wall." The human fleet charged into the alien defensive grid like ancient cavalry attacking a fortress. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes as they struck energy barriers and defensive platforms. But each sacrifice created gaps in the defenses, allowing other vessels to penetrate deeper into the alien formation. Captain Ryan Bell's ship, the Defiance, led the assault with weapons blazing. His vessel had been modified with every piece of alien technology humanity could reverse engineer, making it one of the most dangerous ships in the human fleet. But even the Defiance was outgunned by the massive alien dreadnoughts defending the Starkiller. "Amy, target their command ship," Ryan ordered as his tactical officer coordinated the attack patterns. "If we can take out their coordination node, the defensive grid might collapse." Lieutenant Amy Watson worked frantically at her station, calculating firing solutions while enemy weapons hammered the ship's shields. Their central command vessel is that Zilarian dreadnought at the center of the formation. "But sir, getting close enough to hurt it means flying through the core of their defensive fire." Ryan didn't hesitate. "Then that's where we're going. All hands prepare for ramming speed." While the battle raged at Jupiter, Sophie's team was making the most dangerous journey in human history. The Ghost Runner had been modified with experimental, faster-than-light drives that could theoretically reach the galactic core in days instead of months. The technology was untested and potentially lethal, but time was running out. The journey through hyperspace was unlike anything humans had experienced before. Moving at such extreme speeds created reality distortions that affected both equipment and crew. Sophie found herself experiencing memories that weren't her own, and seeing visions of possible futures where Earth burned in the fires of its dying sun. "The hyperspace readings are off the charts," Kelly reported from her engineering station. "The ship's hull is under stress it was never designed to handle. We might not survive the trip, even if we don't encounter any alien patrols." Pete monitored their route through territories controlled by hostile species. "We'll pass through 7 different alien territories. The Nethrix gas breathers control this sector, then we hit Vorthek crystal fields, then Mindari psychic zones. Each one will try to destroy us." The first encounter came when they dropped out of hyperspace to recalibrate their navigation systems. A Nethrix patrol fleet materialized around them, ships that looked like living clouds held together by electromagnetic fields. The gas-breathing aliens communicated through chemical releases that their computers translated into radio signals. "Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself or be destroyed." Sophie had prepared for this moment by studying alien psychology and communication patterns. Instead of trying to fight or run, she did something the aliens never expected. She told them the truth. "This is Captain Sophie Turner of the Human Resistance. We're on a mission to save our homeworld. We mean no harm to your people, but we will fight if you try to stop us." The Nethrix ships hesitated. In their culture, direct honesty was rare and respected. After several tense minutes, the patrol leader responded, "You are very young to command a warship, human. We will allow passage, but only because your species has shown courage in this war." Similar encounters followed as they passed through territory after territory. Some aliens attacked immediately, forcing brief but vicious battles that tested the Ghost Runner's hybrid weapons and defensive systems. Others, surprisingly, allowed passage after learning of their mission. Not all species in the galaxy were completely united in their desire to see humanity destroyed. The Vorthak crystal beings were particularly interesting. Their living ships, grown rather than built, communicated through harmonic resonances that sounded like music. When they learned that humans were trying to save their children, several Vorthak vessels actually provided escort protection through dangerous asteroid fields. "Why do you help us?" Sophie asked the Vorthak commander through translated musical tones. The alien's response was beautiful and haunting. "We remember what it is like to fight for survival. Long ago, another species tried to destroy us. We survived only through courage and sacrifice. Perhaps the galaxy was wrong about your people." Back at Jupiter, the human fleet was dying heroically. Ships that had protected Earth's colonies for decades were burning wrecks, their crews either dead or evacuating in life pods. But their sacrifice was working. The alien defensive grid was showing gaps, and some of the automated weapons platforms had been destroyed. Admiral Rodriguez watched her tactical display as the casualty reports came in. 2/3 of her fleet was gone, but they had inflicted serious damage on the Starkiller's defenses. More importantly, they had kept the aliens focused on the battle here, instead of searching for Sophie's infiltration team. "Admiral, long range, sensors are detecting massive alien reinforcements heading this way," reported her communications officer. "Looks like half the alien fleet in the solar system is converging on our position." Lisa smiled grimly. "Good. That means they believe this is our real attack. Signal all remaining ships, prepare for final assault. We're going to ram that weapon if necessary." The Ghost Runner finally reached the galactic core after a journey that had taken them through some of the most dangerous territory in the galaxy. The Nexus Prime facility hung in space like a massive organic computer, its surface covered with technology from dozens of different species. Biomechanical tentacles reached out into hyperspace, creating the quantum communication links that coordinated the alien war effort. "That thing is huge," Kelly whispered as they studied the facility. "It's not just a communication hub. It's like a living organism merged with the most advanced computer systems in the galaxy." Sophie studied the defensive patterns around the facility. Unlike the military installations they had encountered, Nexus Prime was defended by the galaxy's most advanced security systems, automated guardians that could adapt to any attack. The alien fleet emerged from hyperspace like a plague of metal locusts. Captain Ryan Bell watched from the bridge of the UHS Defiance as thousands of enemy ships materialized in perfect formation. Each vessel was different, representing technologies from dozens of alien civilizations. Some ships looked like living creatures with organic hulls that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Others were geometric nightmares of sharp angles and glowing energy cores. Ryan had commanded the Defiance for 5 years, fighting pirates and rebels along the frontier. His ship was fast and well-armed by human standards, but it looked like a toy compared to the massive alien dreadnoughts now filling his tactical display. The smallest enemy vessel was 3 times the size of his ship. "All human ships, this is." "Admiral Harrison," came the voice over the communication system. "Execute Plan Delta. Hit them hard and get out fast. Remember, we're not trying to win battles today. We're trying to survive long enough to find their weaknesses." Lieutenant Amy Watson, now transferred to the Defiance as tactical officer, coordinated the attack patterns. Human ships darted between the larger alien vessels like angry wasps, firing everything they had before retreating into asteroid fields and sensor shadows. The strategy was simple: make the aliens work for every victory. The enemy response was swift and devastating. Beam weapons that could slice through a human ship's hull like paper reached out from the alien fleet. Missiles that seemed to think for themselves hunted human vessels through the debris of the outer system. Energy fields that drained power from human ships left them floating helpless in space. On Mars, General Chris Parker watched the battle through long-range sensors while coordinating the evacuation of the terraforming stations. Mars had taken humans 2 centuries to make habitable, and now they might lose it in a few hours. Chris had grown up on Mars in the early domed cities. back when the air was still too thin to breathe outside. "General, we're getting strange readings from the alien ships near Phobos," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Nick Adams. "It looks like some kind of psychic interference." Chris knew about the Mindari, one of the alien species that could attack mines directly. Reports from the outer colonies described human soldiers suddenly turning their weapons on their own comrades, their minds controlled by alien telepaths. "Get all our people into the shielded bunkers. The psychic attacks can't penetrate lead and steel, but the mental assaults were already beginning." Across the Martian defensive lines, soldiers started screaming and dropping their weapons. Some ran toward the alien ships as if called by invisible voices. Others simply stood still, their eyes empty and staring. Chris grabbed his sidearm and shot a soldier who was about to activate a demolition charge that would have destroyed the main evacuation tunnel. The man collapsed, blood spreading across the red Martian soil. "All units implement Protocol 7. Anyone acting strange gets stunned immediately. No exceptions." On Luna Base, Chief Engineer Rachel Stone was having more success with the alien technology. The moon's low gravity and extensive underground tunnel system made it perfect for guerrilla warfare. Rachel had spent 10 years designing the lunar mining equipment, and now she was turning those same tools into weapons. "The aliens rely too much on their computers," she explained to her team as they modified a massive drilling laser. "Their ships have artificial intelligence controlling everything, but our equipment is mostly manual. We can hide from their sensors and strike when they don't expect it." The first alien landing parties that tried to take the lunar facilities found themselves facing weapons they had never seen before. Mining charges exploded under their feet, drilling lasers cut through their armor. Excavation equipment grabbed their ships and crushed them like tin cans. Back on Earth, Dr. Ben Clark was deep underground in a laboratory that had been built to survive nuclear war. He was studying pieces of alien technology recovered from the first battles, trying to understand how it worked. What he found surprised him. "The aliens are too specialized," he told his research team. "Each species has developed in one direction for so long that they can't adapt quickly. The machine beings can't think creatively. The psychic ones can't handle technology. The energy creatures can't understand physical matter." His assistant, Dr. Kelly Brown, pointed to the alien computer core they had extracted from a crashed scout ship. "Look at this processing pattern. It's incredibly advanced, but it only works one way. If we could confuse it somehow, make it process contradictory information, the whole system might crash." Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Major Pete Williams was working on a different approach. He had learned several alien languages during his years in deep space reconnaissance, and now he was using that knowledge in an unexpected way. By monitoring alien communications, Pete discovered something crucial about their fleet coordination. "They're not as united as they pretend," he reported to Admiral Harrison. "The different species use different communication protocols. The rock creatures can't talk directly to the gas beings. The machine race doesn't trust the organic species. If we could disrupt their translations..." Pete began broadcasting fake orders on captured alien frequencies. He told Synthark ships to attack Vorthak formations. He sent Zalarian vessels incorrect targeting data that made them fire on Mindari cruisers. The alien fleet's perfect coordination began to show cracks. On the colony world of Haven, civilians were proving that humans didn't need military training to fight for their homes. Mary Johnson had been a schoolteacher before the war, but now she led a resistance movement that included farmers, shopkeepers, and even children. They used their knowledge of local terrain to ambush alien patrols. "The aliens don't understand guerrilla warfare," Mary explained to a group of new recruits hiding in a cave system. "They're used to fighting other organized militaries. They don't know how to deal with ordinary people who refuse to give up." Her 10-year-old daughter, Sophie Turner, had become the best messenger in the resistance network. The child could move through the underground tunnels faster than any adult, carrying vital information between resistance cells. The aliens never suspected that their most dangerous enemy might be a little girl with a backpack full of homemade explosives. As the second week of the war began, the alien coalition was starting to show signs of strain. Species that had worked together for centuries began blaming each other for tactical failures. The Lumina energy beings complained that the solid matter species moved too slowly. The Vorthak crystal creatures accused the organic species of being too emotional and unpredictable. Captain Ryan Bell noticed the change during a raid on an alien supply convoy. Their formation patterns are getting sloppy, he told Amy Watson as the Defiance darted between enemy ships. They're not coordinating as well as they did in the first battles. Amy targeted the convoy's command ship, a massive Zellarian vessel covered in silver hull plating. Maybe they're learning that humans don't fight like other species. We don't follow their rules. The Defiance's weapons struck the alien command ship's shield generators, creating a brief opening. Ryan immediately ordered a full missile barrage, and for the first time in the war, a major alien vessel exploded in a ball of fire and debris. But victories were still rare, and humanity was losing ground everywhere. Earth's orbital defenses had been reduced to twisted metal. Mars was under full alien occupation. The outer colonies were falling one by one to overwhelming enemy numbers. In his command center on the Sentinel, Admiral Jake Harrison reviewed the casualty reports. In 2 weeks of fighting, humanity had lost 60% of its military ships and 40% of its colonies. The aliens had lost maybe 5% of their total force. "Sir," Commander Ben Clark said quietly, "at this rate, we have maybe 2 more weeks before Earth itself comes under direct attack." Jake nodded, but he was studying something else on his tactical display. "Ben, look at this pattern. Every time we hurt them badly, they pull back and regroup. They're not used to taking casualties. Most species probably surrender after losing a few ships." "What are you thinking, sir?" Jake pointed to a deep space sensor reading that showed a massive alien construction project near Jupiter. "I think they're building something big, something they think will end this war quickly. We need to find out what it is." As the 3rd week began, long-range reconnaissance missions brought back disturbing intelligence. The aliens were building a weapon larger than any human space station. Energy readings suggested it could destroy entire planets, and it was aimed directly at Earth's sun. The galaxy had decided that if humans wouldn't surrender quietly, they would make sure no human ever had the chance to threaten anyone again. They were going to kill Earth's star and wipe out the entire solar system. But Admiral Harrison was already planning humanity's response. If the aliens wanted to fight a total war, they would discover why the rest of the galaxy had been right to fear what humans might become. 6 months had passed since the siege began, and humanity had changed in ways that would have been impossible to imagine before the war. Captain Sophie Turner, the former 10-year-old messenger, was now 15 and commanded her own stealth ship, the UHS Ghost Runner. The war had forced human children to grow up fast, and Sophie had proven that age meant nothing when survival was at stake. The Ghost Runner was unlike any ship in the original human fleet, built in secret asteroid facilities using salvaged alien technology. It combined human engineering with captured enemy systems. Sophie had learned to pilot it by watching alien flight patterns and copying their techniques, but adding human unpredictability to the mix. "Target acquired," Sophie reported, to her crew of teenage volunteers. They were attacking an alien supply depot hidden in the rings of Saturn, using stealth systems reverse-engineered from Synthark cloaking devices. "Remember, we hit fast and get out before their reinforcements arrive." Her tactical officer, 17-year-old, Lieutenant Pete Adams, had grown up on a farming colony before the war. Now he could calculate attack vectors and shield frequencies better than most adult officers. "Alien patrol ships are 12 minutes out. We have a narrow window." The Ghost Runner struck like lightning, its hybrid weapons tearing through alien defenses before disappearing back into the ice and rock of Saturn's rings. This was the new human way of fighting: appear from nowhere, hurt the enemy badly, and vanish before they could respond. Dr. Ben Clark's underground research facility had become the heart of human technological adaptation. Working with captured alien equipment and the brilliant minds of human engineers who had survived the initial attacks, Ben had created weapons that the galaxy had never seen before. "The key is not trying to match their technology," Ben explained to his team as they tested a new prototype weapon. "We can't build shields as strong as theirs or engines as fast as theirs, but we can build things they don't understand." His latest creation was a virus that could infect alien computer systems. Unlike human computer programs, most alien technology relied on quantum processing networks that shared information across entire fleets. If Ben could get his virus into one alien ship, it would spread to every connected vessel. Chief Engineer Rachel Stone had turned the entire asteroid belt into a weapons factory. Using mining equipment and human ingenuity, she built ships and weapons in facilities that looked like ordinary asteroids from the outside. The aliens had learned to fear asteroid fields because they never knew which rocks might suddenly open fire. We're fighting a completely different kind of war now, Rachel told her construction teams as they assembled another improvised warship. The aliens have better individual ships, but we have better teamwork. They rely on their computers to coordinate everything. We use human judgment and adaptation. Her workshops produced vessels that looked like they had been built from spare parts because they had been. But these ugly, improvised ships were surprisingly effective. They used unpredictable tactics, carried weapons that alien sensors couldn't identify, and were crewed by humans who had learned to think like guerrilla fighters. Intelligence Officer Major Pete Williams had become a master of alien psychology. By studying captured communications and prisoner interrogations, he had mapped the complex relationships between the different species in the enemy coalition. More importantly, he had learned how to exploit their differences. The Zalarians think they're the natural leaders because they're the oldest species, Pete reported during a strategy meeting. The Syntharch believe they should command because they're the most logical. The Mindari assume they understand strategy better because of their psychic abilities. We can use this against them. Pete had been feeding false intelligence to different alien species, making each group believe the others were plotting against them. The effect was subtle but growing. Alien fleets that once moved with perfect coordination now showed hesitation and mistrust. On the besieged colony of Haven, Mary Johnson had transformed from a school teacher into one of humanity's most effective resistance leaders. Her network of civilian fighters had made the planet too expensive for the aliens to fully occupy. They controlled the major cities, but the countryside belonged to the human resistance. Every alien soldier they have to keep here is one less they can use against Earth, Mary told her fighters during a planning meeting in an underground bunker. We're not trying to win this planet back, we're trying to bleed them dry. Her daughter, Sophie, had become a legend among the resistance fighters before joining the Space Navy. The techniques she had developed for moving unseen through enemy territory were now being used by resistance cells across human space. The alien coalition was indeed showing signs of serious strain. Species that had fought alongside each other for millennia were beginning to question each other's competence and loyalty. The war they had expected to win in weeks was now dragging on for months, with no end in sight. Supreme Commander Vex of the Zalarians called an emergency meeting of the coalition leadership. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in a secure conference facility, their various forms requiring special environmental systems to accommodate everything from gas-breathing Nethrix to crystalline Vorthak. The humans are not fighting like a civilized species, Vex declared, his silver eyes showing frustration. They attack supply lines instead of military targets. They use children as soldiers. They hide among civilian populations. This is not honorable warfare. The Syntharch representative, a being of living metal called Unit Prime, responded with cold logic. Honor is irrelevant. Efficiency is what matters. The humans are being efficient. We are not. The Mindari delegate, a creature that looked like floating brain tissue in a life support suit, added its psychic voice to the discussion. The humans think differently than other species. Their minds are chaotic but adaptable. Our psychic attacks work, but they develop countermeasures quickly. The debate that followed revealed the depth of the coalition's problems. Each species blamed the others for tactical failures. The energy beings complained that the solid matter species were too slow. The machine races accused the organic species of being too emotional. The psychic species claimed the non-telepathic ones couldn't understand complex strategies. Meanwhile, Admiral Jake Harrison was planning humanity's most desperate gambit yet. Long-range reconnaissance had confirmed that the alien superweapon near Jupiter was almost complete. The Star Killer, as human intelligence had named it, was designed to trigger a solar flare that would incinerate everything in the inner solar system. We have maybe 6 weeks before that weapon becomes operational, Jake told his remaining senior officers during a secure conference call. After that, it won't matter how well we fight. Earth dies. Commander Lisa Rodriguez, now promoted to admiral, after the previous fleet commander was killed in action, studied the tactical data. The weapon is heavily defended. Getting close enough to attack it would require sacrificing most of our remaining fleet. Then that's what we do, Jake replied. We've been fighting a defensive war for 6 months. It's time to take the offensive. But Dr. Clark had a different idea. What if we don't attack the weapon directly? What if we attack the network that controls it? He explained his computer virus project and how it might be used to turn the aliens' greatest advantage into their greatest vulnerability. If they could infect the quantum communication network that coordinated the entire alien coalition, they could cause massive disruption across the galaxy. The plan was incredibly risky. It would require human agents to infiltrate the most heavily defended alien facility in the galaxy, the Nexus Prime Communication Hub. The mission would be essentially suicide, but the payoff could save not just Earth but turn the tide of the entire war. Captain Sophie Turner volunteered immediately. At 15, she was the youngest ship commander in human history, but she was also the most successful at penetrating alien defenses. Her stealth ship and her understanding of alien psychology made her the perfect choice for an impossible mission. I've been fighting these aliens for half my life, Sophie said during the mission briefing. I know how they think. They don't expect humans to sacrifice themselves for abstract goals. They don't understand that sometimes you have to risk everything to save everything. As preparations began for the most dangerous mission in human history, the alien coalition was making final preparations for what they expected to be humanity's extinction. The Starkiller weapon charged its massive energy banks, drawing power from Jupiter's magnetic field. In 6 weeks, Earth's sun would become a weapon turned against the world that had given birth to humanity. But the galaxy was about to learn that humans had not survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and the harsh vacuum of space by accepting defeat. They had survived by adapting, by fighting when fighting seemed hopeless, and by refusing to go quietly into the darkness. The war for humanity's future was about to enter its final phase, and both sides knew that only one could survive the coming battle. The question was whether the galaxy had been right to fear humanity, or whether humanity would prove that even the universe itself couldn't kill a species that refused to die. The Ghost Runner streaked toward Nexus Prime like a comet of human determination, its hull glowing from the friction of passing through the facility's outer energy barriers. Sophie Turner gripped her command chair as defensive systems that had protected the galactic core for millennia suddenly came alive with hostile intent. Uploading the virus now, Kelly Brown shouted over the sound of alarms and weapons fire. Her fingers danced across control panels as she interfaced with alien technology, using equipment that Dr. Clark had designed specifically for this moment. I need 30 seconds to establish a connection with their quantum network. The facility's adaptive defenses were unlike anything humans had encountered. Tentacles of living metal reached out to grab the Ghost Runner, while energy weapons that could rewrite matter at the subatomic level tried to dissolve the ship around them. Pete Adams worked frantically at the tactical station, using every trick. He had learned to keep their small vessel alive long enough to complete the mission. Sophie, their scanning systems are trying to read our minds, he reported. They know we're here to damage the communication network. The Nexus Prime facility began to communicate with them, not through radio or visual signals, but by projecting thoughts directly into their heads. The voice that spoke to them was composed of dozens of alien minds linked together through the facility's quantum systems. Humans, you have come to destroy what took millennia to build. We are the concordant mind, the collective consciousness of every species that has sworn to end your threat to galactic peace. You cannot comprehend what you seek to destroy. Sophie felt images flooding her mind, visions of human colonies spreading across the galaxy like a plague, consuming resources and enslaving other species. She saw human warships destroying entire civilizations, human scientists creating weapons that could kill stars, human leaders declaring themselves masters of the universe. But these were not memories of things that had happened. They were fears, of what the aliens believed humans might become. For all their advanced technology and ancient wisdom, the galaxy's greatest civilizations were united by nothing more than terror of humanity's potential. "You're afraid," Sophie said aloud, speaking to the collective consciousness that controlled Nexus Prime. "All of this, the war, the Star Killer, the alliance of 847 species, you're not doing this because we've threatened you. You're doing this because you're scared of what we might do someday." The facility's attacks intensified, but Sophie could sense something else in the alien minds: uncertainty. They had expected humans to beg for mercy or to make grand speeches about honor and justice. They had not expected a 15-year-old girl to call them cowards. Kelly's virus upload was progressing, but slowly. The alien quantum network was fighting the intrusion, trying to isolate and destroy the human computer code before it could spread. Dr. Clark had designed the virus to be persistent and adaptive, but it was facing the combined processing power of nearly 1,000 civilizations. 15 seconds, Kelly reported. "But their countermeasures are adapting faster than I expected. The virus might not be able to propagate through the entire network." Meanwhile, at Jupiter, the human fleet was making its final, desperate assault on the Starkiller weapon. Admiral Lisa Rodriguez watched as her flagship, the UHS Determination, led the last 20 human vessels directly into the weapon's energy core. They had fought through 17 layers of defenses and lost hundreds of ships, but they were finally within striking distance of their target. "All remaining vessels, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Ram the Starkiller's power core on my mark. Today, we prove that humans don't know how to surrender." Captain Ryan Bell's ship, the Defiance, was barely holding together, its hull breached in dozens of places and its engines running on emergency power. But Ryan had grown up reading about ancient battles where humans faced impossible odds, and he knew that sometimes impossible odds were just another word for opportunity. "Amy, divert all remaining power to the forward shields. We're going in fast and hard." The Defiant struck the Starkiller's central power core just as the facility began its final charging sequence. The massive weapon, designed to trigger a solar flare that would destroy all life in the solar system, shuddered as human warships exploded against its most vital systems. Admiral Jake Harrison, watching from the command center of the heavily damaged Sentinel station, saw the explosion light up space near Jupiter. The Starkiller was dying, its power systems cascading into failure as human ships sacrificed themselves to save Earth. But the cost was enormous. The human fleet was essentially destroyed, and Jake himself was trapped on a station that was losing life support. Back at Nexus Prime, Sophie's mission was reaching its critical moment. The virus upload was at 90%, but the facility's defenses had finally adapted to human tactics. Living metal tentacles wrapped around the Ghost Runner, beginning to crush its hull while energy fields tried to disintegrate its crew. "Sophie, I can't maintain the connection much longer," Kelly reported. "The alien countermeasures are too strong." But Sophie had learned something during her journey through alien territories and her confrontation with the concordant mind. The galaxy's greatest weakness was not technological, it was psychological. All these advanced civilizations had become so dependent on their computers and collective thinking that they had forgotten how to adapt as individuals. "Pete, Kelly, listen to me. Stop trying to think like the aliens expect us to think. Stop following procedures and protocols. Do something completely random. Instead of trying to maintain the virus connection through conventional means, Kelly began inputting data and patterns that made no logical sense. She mixed mathematical equations with poetry, combined alien computer code with human music, and uploaded the virus along with every random thought that entered her mind. The alien systems, designed to process and counter logical attacks, could not adapt to complete chaos. The virus spread through the quantum network like wildfire, carrying with it the unpredictable creativity that made humans so different from every other species in the galaxy. Within minutes, alien ships across the galaxy began receiving contradictory orders. Zalarian commanders were told to attack Synthark allies. Vorthak crystal ships received navigation data that sent them into stars. Mindari psychics found their mental links flooded with garbage data that made telepathic communication impossible. The carefully coordinated alien fleet that had besieged humanity for 8 months suddenly dissolved into chaos. Ships fired on their own allies. Fleets broke formation and scattered, and the chain of command that had held 847 species together collapsed completely. On Earth, President Daniel Foster watched the tactical displays as alien ships threw out. The solar system began retreating in disorder. Some vessels were fleeing toward deep space. Others were attacking each other as old rivalries erupted. The United Galactic Coalition had become a mob of confused and frightened species. "Mr. President," his aide Karen Hayes reported with amazement, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different alien commanders. They're asking for protection from their own allies. The war that was supposed to end with humanity's extinction was ending with the alien coalition destroying itself. But the victory had come at an enormous cost. Earth's colonies were in ruins, its fleet was destroyed, and billions of humans were dead. The survivors would spend generations rebuilding what had been lost." Sophie's team barely escaped from Nexus Prime as the facility systems crashed around them. The collective consciousness that had controlled the galaxy's communication network fragmented into dozens of separate voices, each species' representatives arguing and blaming the others for the disaster. 1 year later, Sophie Turner stood on the observation deck of the new Earth Defense Station Guardian, watching construction ships rebuild humanity's orbital defenses. She was now Admiral Turner, the youngest person ever to hold that rank in human history. The war had forced her to grow up fast, but it had also taught her lessons about leadership and sacrifice that no academy could provide. The galaxy was a very different place now. The alien coalition had shattered completely, with many species retreating to their home systems and refusing contact with others. Some alien civilizations had requested peace treaties with humanity, offering trade and cooperation in exchange for protection from species that blamed them for the war's failure. "Admiral Turner, we're receiving a transmission from the Vorthak crystal beings," her communications officer reported. "They're requesting permission to establish a cultural exchange program." Sophie smiled. The Vorthak had helped her during the mission to Nexus Prime, and they had been among the first species to break with the coalition when the war turned. Building relationships with former enemies would be one of humanity's greatest challenges in the years ahead. Dr. Clark's final report, transmitted to every surviving human colony, contained a message that would become humanity's new doctrine for dealing with the galaxy. "They united against us because they feared what we might become. They lost because they never understood what we already were. We are explorers, not conquerors. We are builders, not destroyers. But we are also survivors, and we will never again allow anyone to threaten our right to exist."